Today we're going to be talking all about staying small and how maximizing the benefits of being a small business can give you big returns. Coming up next. Hi everybody, my name is Dee Burks and this is Retirement Rescue, where we talk about how to make money, save money, and live well in retirement. Now in today's video, we're going to be talking about the idea of scaling your businesses. Now a lot of people are developing multiple streams of passive income, which is one of the things I'm doing. But you often hear people on YouTube or on business channels that talk about, well, you want to take your concept and then scale it big. Big, it's all about big. It's all about big is better. Let me tell you what, y'all, big is not better. There are issues and problems with scaling that the small entrepreneur may or may not want to deal with. I personally don't want to deal with the issues of scaling something really big. And let me tell you why. Number one is I want to be sure I perfect a product or service that is a good quality product or service, and I define that market really well and then go after that specific market. One of the mistakes I see people make is they design something and they just throw it up. And then they just throw ads out there. And then they don't understand why it works. Or if it works a little bit, they throw lots of money at it. And then they can't figure out why they're not getting repeat business. They're wanting to scale, but they've all of a sudden hit a brick wall. Well, let me tell you why that is. Number one, they didn't test their product or service before they tried to scale it. And number two, and rather than doing research and learning exactly what their customers wanted, they just threw money at it. That's a great way to lose money. Great way to lose money. So before you even think that direction, figure out what it is you want to do, what streams of income you want to create, and then figure out how you're going to do that in the lowest cost way possible that's going to offer your customers the best service possible. Because honestly, if you have what looks to be a great product and a lot of people buy it, and then they don't get good service or they don't get what they thought they were going to get, how do you think they feel? I mean, honestly, I've ordered things off wish.com. Not once has that been a positive experience. So, and I'm sure you all have had some instances like that as well. So first, perfect what you're going to do. Figure out what you're going to do and get good at that. Figure out your market. Figure out your customer. Get good at that. Now, the second reason that I'm not a big fan of scaling is people. If you end up having to hire a team, having to hire employees, you have all the management and headache issues that come with that. And I used to be an HR director, so believe me, I am very familiar with people issues, and honestly, I don't want them. I don't have to have them. I have a home-based business. I can do the things I need to do myself without having this huge team of people. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong. If you want to be a big mogul, if you want to employ people, lots of people, I believe Dave Ramsey said he employs 700 people. Oh my goodness. That's your choice. That's just not a path I choose. And if you want to be a small-time entrepreneur, it's not a path you have to choose either. I think there's a lot of advice out there that's trying to convince people that's the only way to go. It's not. Now, the third reason that I can see some issues with trying to scale a business is there is a out of balance focus on sales and marketing. I've seen this on many advice channels, especially here on YouTube, but also on business channels, regular business channels, that are really focusing on telling people how they need to market, how they need to sell it. Sell, 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 sell. There is very little focus on create something of quality, create something that lasts, do something that provides value. You got to remember that sales and marketing are short-term tactics. The way you truly grow a business is offering that value to your customers so they return. It is much cheaper to keep an existing customer than it is to constantly go out there and spend money and effort getting new customers. But there is so much focus on that. Number 4, one of the things I see a lot of people do, especially very small business people, is they think they're going to jump out into the marketplace with, let's say, an online class or, something that they're doing, and they're just going to undercut the competition, and that's how they're going to get people. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. A number of years ago, I wrote a book for a client. His name's David Orrick. Orrick Vacuums, that David Orrick. He has done multiple companies within his lifetime, very successful ones, because he is a marketing genius. He understands customers. He understands consumer behavior. And one of the big things that we discussed when we were creating his book called Dust to Diamonds was the idea that you should never compete on price. And one of the examples that he used, which is a good one, is the pizza wars. It's a constant, numbers cut, until we have a plethora of crappy, cheap pizza that nobody wants. Nobody wants. And so what happens? Now there's room in the marketplace, a lot of room, and there's always been room in the marketplace, but you really see a lot of it now, for really good specialty pizza places. Actually, we have one here in town, Bruno's. They do wonderful handmade, homemade pizzas that are incredible. And the price difference between them and the cheapy pizzas that aren't very good isn't much. It's $2 or $3. So you don't have to compete on price. If you provide great quality and you can show your customers that that quality is worth something, they will come back to you every single time. So think about the value. Think about the value you're offering to your customers and really focus on that way more than price. It's not about being the cheapest in the market. That is the road to quick death. The 5th thing is trying to be all things to all people. How many times do you see a small business person start one direction and start doing one thing, and then they decide to add a second thing and a third thing, and before you know it, they're terrible at everything? You cannot be all things to all people, nor should you try. You are not Walmart. And how many people hate big box stores now? Because they're trying to be all things to all people, and so they don't really offer anything unique. It is much better to focus on one area, one niche, one little bit of something, and be really good at it, than it is to be all things to all people. And a lot of times when a business tries to scale, one of the difficulties they have is retaining that value. All of a sudden they get very low value, and customers stop coming to them, and they can't figure out, now that they're expanded so big, why are we losing customers? That's why. You've lost what made you unique, what made you special. So hang on to that little area that is different from what everyone else is doing, because that is what's going to propel you further in the future. Now, the last area we're going to talk about, number 6, of issues with scaling is when you're little and you have an issue, it's quick to overcome. Once you scale it up, if you ignore those little issues, it becomes huge. And the things that were never an issue when you were little are suddenly an issue. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're little bitty, like I am. I work in my house, I don't have any overhead, I don't have a physical location, which is great. I have no employees. But let's say I wanted to scale up, and a couple of years from now I have 20 or 30 employees, we have a physical location. Well, by that time you need policies and procedures, you need HR structure, you need management structure for shift work, you need all sorts of logistical structure, you need all the things that you don't have, and all of that stuff costs. When you're little, you're able to maximize your revenue because you don't have any of that overhead. But once you start to scale, then your sales have to scale even further to make up for this new management structure that you now have to have. You can't just go back and be little. And let me tell you what little can get you when you're having something like a pandemic or a huge recession. When you're little, You can completely scale back all your expenses because you don't employ anyone but yourself. You can scale back all your variable expenses. You can even shut down completely for a couple of months and live off your savings and then start back up again. You can't do that once you scale up. The options you have at that point: do you lay people off? Do you furlough people? Do you shutter your business? Do you close some divisions? What do you do? Do you go into bankruptcy? There's an old saying among business people that the fastest way to kill a company is to grow too fast. You can grow yourself to death. And a lot of very small entrepreneurs fall into that trap. They try to grow way too fast and they try to add all of this structure, but they don't have the revenue to support it. And before they know it, they have a cash flow issue and shut their doors. Don't be that person. Stay little. Little is beautiful. There are many paths up the mountain. You do not have to take the path of grow, grow, grow. You can take the path of stay small, maximize your revenue, and sock away that revenue for what you want to do in the future. So hang on to that idea. If you want to stay small and kick butt. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.